Is that better? Yeah. Ooh, nice. Okay, so where was I? Oh, we're completely student-run and student-published. This is all of your guys' work. It's not anyone else's besides yours. And I hope you all take pride in that. I know as staff members we do. I would also like to do a few quick thanks before we get books around. So thank you to our Murphy Foundation contest judges. These are judges that are selected around the state so that they do not have a Hendrix bias, and these pieces are sent to them without names on them so that we can get as fair of the judging as we can. Our poetry judge is Nicole Brown, prose Kevin Brockmeyer, our Highbridge judge is Robin Becker. And we also have a new thing this year, which is where the art department kindly stepped in and developed their own contest with their own judge under the same criteria of anonymous submissions. And that visual art judge is Catherine Strauss. We'd also like to thank our printer, which is Target Printing, the same printer who the profile uses. They're quite wonderful people. The AONIAN would also like to thank Hope Coulter, Melissa Gill, Tyrone Jager, Maxine Payne, Marie-Ann Tettlebaum for their workshops and wonderful expertise. Rachel Rabondegro, who will see did some really beautiful cover art. The Student Senate for funding our publication, and Target Printing for printing the magazine. We'd also like to thank the Hendrix Murphy Foundation for the contest and the reception, and another thanks to the Hendrix Art Department. I guess I should also introduce myself. I'm Julia Lee, by the way. I'm the editor-in-chief, and I'm about to name the staff members. So if I could have you all stand up after I've called your name, and we'll go to the back and be sure to pass around books to everyone in the room so that you all don't have a mad, scramble type of Black Friday thing going on. So if I could please have Associate Editor Allie Dillard. And Allie absolutely deserves her own clap, but after, if we could clap at the end of all the staff members instead of after everyone, that would be fantastic. Kalia Anderson, Courtney Bass, Ryan Bry, Taylor Foreman, Camille Guillot, Laura Classic, Lindsay Lloyd, Meredith Morrison, Robert Nielsen, Ania Payne, William Rupass, Rachel Thomas, Jenny Voss, and Danielle Young. Sorry about that. So anyway, staff members, if we could go back, I'm going to do this awkward unveiling thing. And thank you. So as you all, does everybody have a book? We all square? Yeah? Okay, awesome. So as you're flipping through these really amazing pages that are filled with so much hard work, if you would, how we're going to do it in terms of the contest is we're going to go in order of places, and from those places divided into genres. So we'll have all of the third place winners, and then all of the second place winners, and then all of the first place winners. So I'll come up between those and announce them just so that y'all don't have to keep up with it yourselves. So in that order, if we could please get Carl to come up and read your poem, Parasites. Oh, and it's on page 111.
Okay. This is my poem, Parasites. As leaves are dropped in the winter, the mistletoe is exposed like scars and tattoos when I take off my clothes. They are you and they are me, evergreen, dependent, and ridiculous. They hover over December kisses and blight trees when they have taken far too much. I stalked the forests and valleys, asking everything with or without breath to promise me no harm. I had dreamt my own death, holes in my body and my blood on the land. I made hornets swear oaths, and I made boulders sign contracts, desperate for salvation like a sapling pining for light. But I was no sapling. I was the mistletoe, and you were the mistletoe, and we were something I overlooked, like your red face swollen with anger and fear as you chopped carrots for soup, and my white hands twitching with displeasure and grief as I tried to pluck the strings of a banjo old and out of tune. It was in the winter, as leaves dropped, and as rose thorns avoided my skin, and as snakes retracted their fangs, that I saw my own blood in mass, like a bowl of red jam, thickened and clotting, oozing from my mouth. I had just kissed you for the last time. This is what we mistletoe do. We cry when we wither the trees we love too dear, and we never realize that it was all our fault.
Thank you, Carl. Next for our visual art category is Robert Tung, and his piece is on page 131.
Hey guys, well, I guess I'll just talk about the photo a little bit. I took it 4 years ago while I was spending 18 days in India, and that's actually taken up in Dharamshala in the Himalayas where the Dalai Lama's temple is, which is the name of the photo, Tenzin, is the Dalai Lama's first name. And I took this before I really got into photography and really started exploring it as a hobby, I guess. And so as I got more and more into photography, I was looking at different shooting techniques, like long exposures and things like that. And one of the things I came across was this effect called tilt shift, which requires very expensive lenses that I can't afford. So I was looking through other other techniques, I guess, to get kind of the same effect, which I really liked because it makes everything look very small, like it was shot through a macro lens, kind of like a Lego set or a train diorama. So I just started playing around with other post-production effects that you could use, and so I decided to use that photo just because the buildings, I don't know, it just makes them look kind of cute and tiny. I don't know, I just like the way they looked, and yeah, that's it pretty much. Thank you.
For third place in prose, Rachel Thomas wrote a story called In the Belly of the Fish. And Rachel Thomas is in Oxford right now, and Skyping her in to read this is just a little complicated, so we're not doing that. It's on page 54. You should look at it at some point. I'm not going to read it now because I don't think I could do Rachel's reading justice. So when you're studying for your finals and procrastinating for your finals in the upcoming weeks, I would encourage you to spend some time with that story. It's really wonderful. It's about a priest who is doubting his faith, and he is trapped in his parish in the night, and someone breaks in. So skipping over third place for prose, we move into third place for hybrids, which is Katie Raffleshouse, who is in New Zealand. Also really complicated about Skyping someone in for that. She wrote a story called Stories for the Backing of the Heart, which is on page 68. It's a really experimental piece. It's very fun. It plays with lots of different forms and modes, and I encourage you to read it 1,000 times because I think you'll discover new things about it each time. So that'll move us into our second place winners. If I could have Camille come up for her poem, please, which is on page 46.
Hey guys. Obad. Something like the sea tossing in its weedy bed, the tides its yawning tries at waking, partly rising, then returning. Something like sounds lying in a word's shape, like something lightning welded, something locked, something like magnets clinging. Something like plant cuttings rooting together in night dirt, like something braided, three things and one eternity. Are you, your bed, and I this morning?
Second place for visual art is Landon with Sister, is on page 38.
Hey guys, I guess I'll talk to you guys just a little bit about my process. I am using a pinhole camera, which is, for those of you who don't know, a camera without a lens, and it is just basically a tiny little pinhole in aluminum, and the light goes through, so the exposures take about, I think this one was like 4 minutes. And so I did my whole senior project, which is up in Trishman right now. And I did all those in pinholes, and basically I like the kind of mysteriousness that it brings to photographs. Since the exposure is so long, it takes somebody being very still, and even if they don't move a muscle, they're still breathing, so I guess they are moving muscles. So you guys kind of get a little bit of movement in there, and I think that mysteriousness and not looking at a straight photo and kind of capturing time within a photograph is kind of what I'm aiming for here. So, thank you.
I panicked because I thought we had a typo, but really it's just on 138, and I can't read my handwriting. So next, second place prose is Courtney Bass with How to Leave Home, which is on page 135.
Okay, hi, thank you for coming. So this is called How to Leave Home. Be friendly and open to everyone. Teeth and skin are not the marks you once used to judge a man. Examine his cars, his wheels, his shoes. Keep your own teeth and skin clean and shiny. Hide your car. Hide the cigarette holes in the seat, the tearing tint, the fast food wrappers. Dress up everywhere you go. Wear a dress you bought on clearance at Forever 21. Pair it with gold bangles on your wrist and rings that stain your fingers green. When the weather settles into permanent frost, wear the tights you stole from your little sister. You know her closet is already overflowing. When your clothes are dirty and the water has long left the pipes and you've used all the quarters to buy chicken nuggets, hide the stench with that expensive perfume your mother told your father to buy for you last Christmas. The bottle looks like a purple gem, and the spray of the liquid on your throat makes you feel rich. Smell like spicy cigarettes. Never call yourself a hoe, a prostitute, a call girl, or a hooker. Never put an ad on Craigslist. Don't follow the Craigslist girls to their seats in county jails. Never work for a pimp. Think about the girl Daryl told you about. Think about the 4.0 college girl studying to be a nurse at the City University. Think about her weekend trips with her pimp to Houston, Dallas, and New Orleans. Think about her pimp paying his own bond but leaving the girl to rot in an Alexandria jail. Think about him bragging about it outside of Jay's yesterday. Ride around in cars a lot. Ride around with men who make money but don't have jobs. Ride around with men who call themselves rappers or producers or self-employed. Ride around with men who like to show off, who show you stacks of money to make you laugh, who always pick up the tab at Wendy's and IHOP. You can't know just one man. There have to be at least 5, a handful of friends who always answer your phone call. Always be in control. Make phone calls but don't answer them. Be valuable. Even if it's only the lightness of your skin that contrasts you against the darkness, be rare. Tell them stories of your family's home in the country. Talk about the horses and the land in your daddy's new truck as you ride around through the city in 20-year-old Cadillacs and Chevys. Be a resource, if only in their imaginations. Most importantly, never ask for money before sex. Limit the number of times you ask for money outright. Don't worry, they will give it to you anyway. After you've driven east on 630, then back west, exited on University, driven through Wendy's, taken a trip down Markham and past his family's old home, the blue house with 2 stories. Tell him you want to smoke, and he'll drive you down one-way roads you've never heard of until he parks next to a soccer field you've never seen. Always use a condom. After his last groan and heave, peel your face off the steering wheel and slide back over to your passenger seat. Oh, baby, damn, they always say that. Tell him about your baby girl. Tell him how she flipped off her daycare teacher yesterday. That will make him laugh. Tell him how expensive her pull-ups are. Tell him how you just spent your last $40 changing your oil, how you don't know how you're going to pay the light bill. Don't tell him that you don't have a light bill. Never say thank you when he hands you the money. Take the wad of green bills as if it has always been yours. Really, it has. When your mother calls, don't ask her for help. You've done that so many times. Tell her about job applications and interviews. Tell her about your baby girl asking, "Where's Mama?" Tell her about your baby girl peeing in the toilet. Ask her about book club. Listen to her tell you about the new color she's having the kitchen painted. Tell her, "I love you." And when you're alone, driving around your city late at night with your baby girl sleeping, mouth hanging open in the back seat, don't think about any of it. Think of a friend with an extra bed or a couch. Think of a safe place to take your baby. Wonder if she misses her bed. Wonder if she even remembers her old bed. Wonder when her father is going to come home. Wonder if you can ever go back home. Turn up that volume dial on the radio and don't let her hear you cry. Thank you.
Thanks, Courtney. Second place for hybrids, again, we have Carl with Eliza's Dollhouse on page 129.
Eliza's Dollhouse. One living room. There is a couch backed against a wall like a suspect captive at station. It is a tin of Band-Aids, dented and empty except for the last baby tooth, a blood-stained molar. There lies a sandpaper throw rug pinned down by a bottle cap coffee table, elevated by broken safety pins that at once fastened soiled diapers. There, scrawled on the wall like a cave painting, is a television set with a blank screen, filled in black as if there were no power to turn it on at all. 2. Kitchen. There is a ring box for oven, its velvet worn like calloused skin. It holds a rotten grape, shriveled and hairy with mold. There is a refrigerator in the corner, an old boxy cell phone that stands on its own and has lost its battery. It does not open and it does not close, providing no nourishment. There a dead fly lies on its back, 6 legs folded, pining for the fruit it cannot reach, haunting the porcelain thimble that has no stove to be a pot upon. 3. Dining room. There a deck of cards make a table that lies on the floor like a snake on its belly. 3 of the cards are missing children run away from home. The rest are sealed in with masking tape, trapped with the family. There are stacks of green pennies for chairs and cut-up paper clips for knives and forks. There many hungry ghosts wait for a meal that never comes. They sit patiently on the pennies until they die again of starvation. 4. Bathroom. There a bottle of black witch's ink is used for toilet. It overflows when filled with defecation, spilling streams of dark hieroglyphics on the bare floor, and it can never be flushed. There, spirits without mouths are summoned, and they pile into the bathtub, a white baby shoe soggy with water. They clap their hands to speak. There on the floor, away from the ink, is a pile of small pink pills for hand soaps that go unused by the spirits, whose stench wanders around the entire upstairs. 5. Bedroom. There is a large matchbox full of burned-out matches and forbidden spells, like a witch doctor's coffin. It is tattered, and it is the bed below a window, cut out crookedly. There demons crawl in through the crooked window and rifle through mint tin suitcase, packed tight with clothes of used tissues and folded sugar packets. They tear and spill its contents all over the room, thwarting any plans to leave. There, banshees pour out of the chest, a box of animal crackers reduced to crumbs, and screech at the demons. They are scared and pale and only wish to be alone. 6. Attic. There is a birthday candle lamp lit and aflame, eating the air like a fire-breathing chameleon. It melts, and its wax coats the floor, trapping the feet of goblins and incubi that sleep there during the day and prowl the house at night, ravenous and teeming. There a pocket knife trunk opens, and its contents cut the chain of the imps imprisoned there. They are freed now, but not for long, as the roof catches afire and sets the rest of the house ablaze by the will of an infernal djinn. There lies the doll, a clothesline clip, grasping a wilted bouquet of baby's breath, forgotten and left behind. There lies the doll, a clothesline clip, stolen from the neighbor after she hung her wet dresses, causing one to fall into the mud. There lies the doll, a clothesline clip, haunted and left behind.
And now on to our first place winners. If we could have Taylor Foreman with Mausoleum, page 114.
Okay, this is my poem, Mausoleum. My father found a family of mice dying behind the sofa. Just when his big black boot came down on their skulls, one mouse scurried away across the hall and up the back of the dining room chair, and he perched atop the curve of the antique cherrywood. The first time I heard my father fire his shotgun, he left a mouse-shaped hole in the wall of the dining room we never used and promised to patch it up. But every winter, thousands of mice wept and paid their respects at the tiny grave. My mother's feet swelled one summer, and she fasted for a whole year, feasting only on the bitter roots my father left on her plate. Her breath was clouded cyanide, and her kisses peeled my lips away. She must have given me some prickly roots to eat, because at night I coughed until millions and millions of tiny briars spilled onto virginal white tile, dissecting my insides until at last I found a barbed vine deep inside my belly, carefully sewn to the hollows of my ribs. My father and my mother divided my blood equally between them and drank in a peaceful silence. My father's shotgun lay propped and loaded against the mantel. My mother's roots sat cold and untouched. The mice kept vigil over the silent house, deep in prayer and lifting feeble voices in hymns until at last the sun had set on that unholy place. Thank you.
Next is first place visual art, which is Rachel Rabondigro, Through the Frame, which is on page 91. And Rachel deserves an extra applause because the beautiful cover art we have is hers as well.
Hey, thanks. I don't really have anything to say about like why these objects are here. Like I don't have a narrative. It's like there's no story to it. You can make one up if you want. I'd like that. But I don't have one. I did this painting in an intermediate painting class, and all of my in-class paintings were coming out really bad, and I hated all of them. And my teacher, Professor Lopez, told me this story about a woman that he knew that he painted with at some previous school. And she had it in her head that she really wanted to paint this red chair, but the chair didn't exist. So she went out all over like antique stores and flea markets looking for the red chair, and she couldn't find it, but she found a big old couch that was kind of like it. And she bought the couch, and she like ripped it up and remade it into the chair and reupholstered it and made her red chair, and then she did the painting. And he said that nobody cared that it was a red chair, but it was a beautiful painting. And so that's what I had in my head when I set out to do this. And like I went looking for stuff, and I found those little elephants, and I really loved those little elephants. And then I put a light on it, and I saw the sort of skull shape it made with the shadow, and I was like, that's what I wanted to paint. So I don't think it's probably not as beautiful as the red chair painting was, but that's what I'm aiming for.
And first place for prose is Ginny Voss with Jara Trees, which is on page 78.
Jara Trees. It was mid-afternoon when Donna Durant closed the gates of the dairy farm she ran with her husband Stephen and drove down the dirt track towards her home. The passenger seat of the ute was filled with white shopping bags, their handles waving like the tops of grass in the dry wind that whipped through the windows. Their house, with low walls of double brick and a corrugated tin roof, was set half a kilometre back from the road, There was a hay shed to one side of the house, and a milking shed, carport, and a few other sheds for their tractors and farm equipment beyond that. The house itself had a good view to the northwest, looking out over acres and acres of rolling fields and the small creek that wove its way between them. It was beautiful pasture, though the season had turned the earth into a yellow-brown wad of tinder so dry and full of eucalypt oil that one stray spark could send up enough flame to destroy it all. The trees that dotted the fields looked tired and thin as they stretched themselves towards the iridescent sky, and their dark leaves crackled in the sun. Donna pulled into the carport and grabbed the largest part of the shopping to take in with her. The drive between the carport and the house was sandy and dry, and each step Donna took shook up a large cloud of dust that caught in her throat. When she got to the veranda, she kicked off her shoes and opened the fly screen with her elbow. The inner door was already open, and the ceiling fans working furiously in every room that had one. "David," she said. She set the things down on the kitchen counter and filled herself with a glass of water. "Can you get the last of the shopping in?" There was no reply. She stuck her head into David's room and saw him lying on his bed with a thick book, headphones locked over his ears. At 17, he had grown tall, and the blonde beginnings of a beard lined his chin and jaw. He had inherited Donna's dark eyes, his father's light hair, and he looked utterly ridiculous, overgrown in a room that had last been redecorated when he was 9 years old. In fact, apart from the desk covered with last year's school books and a few novels checked out from the library, the room might still have belonged to the 9-year-old. Donna went up and shook David's knee, causing him to jump and pull off his headphones. "David, didn't your dad need your help today?" He shook his head. "He told me to take off." "Well, in that case, could you bring the shopping in?" "Hang on." He sat up, his eyes scanning the book quickly. "Do it now, David. I don't want to have to ask you again." "Just a sec, Mum. I need to find the place where I can stop." Donna shook her head and took the book from his hands. "Oi! Shopping. In. Now." David sighed and stood, making sure his protest was known before he went outside. Donna gave his book a quick once-over. It was one of those expansive fantasy series with nonsense words in the title, and a poorly drawn cover of a man brandishing a sword in one hand and a buxom princess in the other. David swore the books were better than the covers made them seem, and that they helped him unwind after the end-of-year exams. Donna set it aside, not thinking to keep his page. Donna began packing away the rest of the groceries. For a while she did not notice it, but when she reached up to open the cabinet beside the kitchen window, she paused, set the tins of corn back on the counter, and looked out at the field, squinting. She cursed under her breath when David came in to set down his load. She didn't give him time to pick up the book again. "That tree's finally come down over the fence line. Once we've put these away, I'll need you to come with me to clean it up." David groaned but nodded. "Of course." Donna watched him brood, and her lips twitched into something of a smile. She tossed him a bag of rice, and he started as it collided with his shoulder and fell into his open hands. "Come on," she goaded. "Don't drift away on me." David laughed and almost smiled. "I'll try not to."
And our last reader we have is First Place for Hybrids, which is Allie Dillard with Steve, which is on page 73. Also, Allie is our associate editor, and I would also like to just say thank you to her again, because there's no way I could have made it through this year without her. So, Steve on page 73.
Hi. Okay, this is Steve. Steve's got an entire confederacy wrapped around his head, and I am afraid he will follow us to the cave. He is not a chiropractor. He has a crooked back like a snake's if it was frozen to match his crooked teeth and tongue. Steve leans back when he walks forward, which is why I cannot tell where he is going ever. He is shrunken under the weight of heavy leather, false power, and misplaced pride.
So a few quick things before y'all all go out and eat up the rest of the cheese. All of contest winners, if you could please stick around. I have letters and monetary prizes and certificates for all of you that we would love to give you. Also, I would like to give another thanks to Henrietta and Sarah Engler-Young. They are part of what makes this all possible. And another thank you to the staff members, and they worked really, really hard. We would have 3-hour meetings every Sunday and a lot of meetings on spring break when everyone wants to do other things besides sit in a room and talk about art. So they're very dedicated, and they're part of what makes this magazine so great. But I also want to say thank you to everyone in this room for coming, and thank you to everyone who contributed. You're part of what makes this you're not part, you are what makes this magazine what it is. And thank you to the artists and writers that fill these pages. It wouldn't be what it is without you. But I think that's it. So thank you all for coming, and we look forward to seeing you again next year.